Hi everyone, welcome back. I hope you're enjoying the content. Today let's discuss gathering data. A very good question was asked the other day, how to gather data and what effect weather has on data. Now, I'm not the best one probably to ask about gathering data. I only ever shoot out to 100 yards max. So I haven't had a lot of experience of like extreme long range or anything like that. And I know compared to a lot of the guys that I compete against, I don't even own a Kestrel. What I can do is explain how I personally do it. So a few years ago I downloaded Hornady Ford off on my phone. Absolutely love it. It's gotten me to 1 nationals, and I think it's fine. So I've downloaded it onto my phone. I won't go through that with you guys here. There's enough YouTube video if you're interested on how to download the app and how to set up a rifle profile. What I will discuss with you guys today is how you can play with it and how you can set it up properly. So the first thing to go over is setting up your rifle info. And I've done up some little flyers here for you. I hope you can see that. That's your rifle info. If you'd like to pause this video to go through this with me, that'd be great. Muzzle velocity. So when you get your gun, get a chrono or get access to a chrono and chronograph batches of your match ammo. Chrono, get data off as many rounds as you can, like say 100. Data off 100 rounds is good, is pretty good data. The first one is muzzle velocity, okay? The second one you'll see there is zero range. Now that just means what range do you zero your rifle at? For me it's 50. Sight height, very important one. Later in the video we'll talk about mucking around a few of these numbers to see what happens. This is one of them. The sight height is very important. Barrel twist, 1 in 16. Impact windage, I fair dinkum don't know what that is, so I left it at 0. Bore diameter, 0.22. Axial form factor. This is another one that we'll discuss a little bit more in a minute. My actual form factor is on 0.92. So sight height and actual form factor, when you muck with these numbers, they'll give you the biggest difference in your data. Let me see here now. The other one to pay close attention to is your environmentals. Okay, you'll see that all there. Okay, I will do environmental. So I shoot in 2 places. I shoot an hour and a half away with the 100-yard series, and then here at home for the 50-yard series. So I've got 2 profiles set up. Okay, in your environmentals you've got altitude, pressure, temperature, humidity, windage offset. Again, I have no idea what that is, so I leave it at 0. I get onto a weather app the day before our event and find out what the temperature is going to be. Now, when you're setting these parameters, altitude is what it's going to be. Your temperature, set it to the temperature that will be on that day, and you'll see that your pressure will adjust itself between temperature and altitude, and the humidity you can get it once you download it off an app as well. That's basically all I do. So to answer that part of the second part of that question, how does weather affect your data? I haven't really seen weather affect data. Once you get all this stuff inputted, now just be aware, spend a lot of time on your rifle info. this Hornady fought off is only as good as, if you put garbage in, you get garbage out, okay? So pay particular attention if you're going to use this app on the data going in. Make sure your sight height is true. Then go out to the club and start shooting. Now, as previously mentioned in another video, when I first started with Hornady, went out to the club, started shooting, it was telling me, I can't accurately remember, let's just say it was 2.0 mils to hold at 100. So very quickly when I started shooting that, I knew straight away it wasn't 2 mils. I grabbed a friend that was out there who's a centerfire shooter and has done far more than I have with this sort of stuff. And we trimmed my data through actual form factor. I've spoken about this briefly in other videos. We'll go into it in a little bit more detail here now. Okay, so if you click on actual form factor, it takes you to this page and it'll ask you 3 questions. To use total come up, use impact location, or manual selection. Manual selection is where I was told to go. And then you'll see this page come up. Now it looks a bit daunting, but it'll ask you to select from 0.90 to 0.99, okay? It says at the top here, if you're using 0.90 actual form factor and still impacting high on target, please check all inputs for accuracy. So what it's trying to say is something is wrong. So I selected 0.92. That took me from around 2 mil to 1.8 to what it is, to what it actually is. And that's how I trim my data. Once you get set up with the rifle profile and you have your environmentals for the area that you're going to shoot, and you get familiar with all that, have a bit of a play with your calculator. Jump on your phone and change stuff. Change your sight height. Work out what your calculator is telling you at 100. Let's just say it's 1.8. Change your sight height. So if it's 2.3, drop it down to 1.8 and see what that does to your data. That's how your data changes. Another thing that I've seen, well, just taking a step back, if you go back to actual form factor and play around with those numbers, say you're on a 0.92, change it to a 0.99, go back into your ballistic calculator and see what your 100-yard hold is now. Once you change that, you'll see a bit of a change. So that's basically what I've been doing for the last 2 years. Every time I go and compete, I make sure, again, that my hold at 100 is true. I spend a lot of time with the barrel that I have now testing. I'm about to get a new barrel, a bit excited. It'll be a little while from Swanee. But when it gets here, I'll retest all over again. That target you see behind me, that was my, that's my Lapua Center X target. I keep that up there so to remind myself on the day how that ammo went. I've got 3 boxes of the same batch number. So that there is my truth. I always say, in IPSC world, target and the timer is always the truth. Well, in our world, the target's the truth. You can't dispute what the impacts are doing. So that's basically how I set my data up. The only change I've ever seen with data, and we're not really windy up here in North Queensland. We shot actually last month at the Woodstock Spectrum event, was probably the windiest event I've ever competed at. it was probably the worst I've ever shot, but it was the most fun I've ever had. I can't describe it. At sight-in time, at 100, I normally shoot, I think it's like an 8-inch plate, and it's got a bolt through the top of it. So I aim at the bolt head, and I sort of got on glass, aimed straight at the bolt, broke a shot, and it went about 0.2 to the left. Broke another one, aiming dead center, 0.2. Shot another one, went 0.4. So I thought, oh yeah, that's interesting. So, and it definitely was a wind from right to left. So then I held 0.2 off the bolt, broke the shot, and the shot went straight where I was aiming. This is why it was so much fun and so interesting, because there and then I thought, oh wow. I couldn't tell by the foliage that was around the target, the trees or the grass, that the wind had died, and it was just gusting. It was gusting between, well, in my talk, 0.2 to 0.4 of a mil. Had another friend there that I sort of trust with wind calls, and I asked him after I sighted in, how far was the wind carting you to the left? And he said the same thing. He said between 0.2 and 0.4. So that's why it was so fun, because you had to watch every shot. Before you broke every shot, you sort of had to make a bit of a decision on if you were going to hold, or if in fact you weren't going to hold. There's some parts of our range where we compete at the moment that is secluded from the wind. One part of it is pretty well treed up on one side, has a berm at the back. But the biggest part of the club that I shoot at the moment can cop a little bit of wind. Normally I don't think there is much wind there, but last month there was a heap, so it was good fun. It was good fun to compete in those conditions. So I hope that's answered that question. How does weather affect data? I don't think it does really. It hasn't for me, only wind. And how do you collect data? I hope that has helped you a little bit. If anyone is having a lot of drama with this, don't hesitate to jump on Facebook, send me a message. I'll try and help you. If I can't help, I'll definitely find someone who can. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that one. See you on the next one.